ונוכל ברכי. ברוך אתה אלוהינו מלך העולם ונפש אתה עשינו כמש פרוסה להכריז בנפש כמש פרוסה להכריז בנפש כל חוי ברכי העולמים. Okay.
Should I say Asher Yitzhar?
ונוכל ברכי. ברוך אתה אלוהינו מלך העולם ונפש אתה עשינו כמש פרוסה להכריז בנפש כמש פרוסה להכריז בנפש כל חוי ברכי העולמים. What is that? Okay.
It was an echo. We're learning in a Hasidic cave this morning.
All right, let's go. So we are not in a cave, but we are learning about things that we do find in caves, learning about coals and about pearls. Now, Chassidus is compared to both coals and pearls. And yesterday we learned how the meaning of the correlation of Chassidus to coals is just like coals give heat and light, so too Chassidus emphasizes the need for life in serving Hashem, represented by heat. Where there is heat, there is life. So Chassidus points out to the necessity, not just to perform Torah mitzvahs, but to be levidik, to be alive in your Torah learning, alive in your mitzvahs. And Chassidus is also called coals because it gives light, just like when you are in the dark, you don't know where to go. So to spiritually, it's possible to just stay stagnant, the same place you were yesterday, and stay that way today and that way tomorrow. So this is like coals in the sense that it illuminates your path and shows you where you need to go. In the language of the Hayom Yom, Chassidus is a godly understanding that shows a person how lowly he is and how great he can be. Let's now continue in this subject, and let's go to page 194. The Friedrich Rebbe adds another point in the parable. He says that when you go to dig for coals, you have to rely on the director who's telling you where to dig. In a similar way, you have to rely on the Rabbeim who reveal the inner dimension of Torah to every generation and listen to their instruction exactly. But then the Friedrich Rebbe adds another point. You're going to dig for coal. You're going to have someone directing you where to go. But you can't rely on the director breathing for you. Each worker has to connect to the spirit of life himself. He may only know where to dig because of the director. He may have to follow what the director says exactly, but at the same time, he has to breathe himself. You might think that since you have to rely on the wisdom of the director, you have to follow his instructions accurately, you might think that that's sufficient. Someone wrote to me, the Rebbe said, that they'll do exactly what I tell them to do, from Aleph till Taf. I'll listen, whatever you tell me, Rebbe. I gave my desire over to you, but I don't want to think myself what I need to do. At that particular talk, they compared him to Yoina. That Yoina, when he went on the boat and the storm began, and they drew lots to try to figure out who was responsible for the storm starting. So Yoina famously says the lots fell out on Yoina, and Yoina says, "Pick me up and throw me in the ocean." So the question is, why didn't he jump himself? And the answer is, he didn't want to do anything himself. He just wanted things to be done for him. So in a similar way, the guy may be telling the Rebbe, may sound very devoted and very noble. I will do whatever you tell me. Pick me up and throw me in the ocean. But that's not the purpose of why a soul came to this world. Hashem sent the soul into this world for Anila Deidi. I need to come to my beloved. This man visiting LA a few years ago told me that he was in an audience with Rebbe, and he felt the people in New York, there in Crown Heights, the Hasidic neighborhood that he was living in with the Rebbe, he felt that there was a little bit of People were robotic, just like following what other people told them to do, and they weren't thinking for themselves. That was his impression. And Rebbe emphasized to him that there is no substitute or excuse for not exercising your free will, which is what the previous Rebbe is saying in the talk that we're quoting from. It's not enough to listen to what the Rebbe says. You have to breathe yourself. You can't rely on the Rebbe to breathe for you. It's not enough just to say, oh, the Rebbe I'm listening to the Rebbe. The neshama comes into the world, and the neshama has to breathe itself. It's true you have to give your desire over to the director of the one who's telling you how to dig for coal. That's step one. But Yisrael became a shlema in Chabad, Seichel, Hagas, Midas, and Nehi Asiyah. The human being is made up of many components. There is our intellect, there's our feeling, there's our actions. The three general computers, if you will, in human being: the intellect, the emotions, and the action. Three different realms of spheres within the soul. So it's not sufficient just to give over your desire to do what has to get done. You also were given intellect, feelings, and action, which is, by the way, the reason we put on tefillin. The Rebbe said that people in other philosophies, not in Judaism, they have a discussion. There's three schools of thought about what's most important. Your ideology, that's what some maintain. The main thing is how you look at life, and you have to try to perfect your ideology. Others say the main thing is your character, not your ideology. While a third school of thought maintains the most important thing is your behavior. But Judaism is holistic. Hashem created the entire person and doesn't want us to just give over our desire to Him, to Hashem, and listen to what Hashem tells us to do. Hashem tells us to put on tefillin, which harnesses the mind. That's why He put tefillin on the head. It harnesses the heart, and the arm represents action as well. Hashem wants the whole person it's created for a purpose, there's meaning in the entire person. Every part of us, every facet in our persona has meaning, and therefore it all has to be connected and part of what we're doing. So it's not enough just to give your desire over to a tzaddik. Say, tzaddik, I will do whatever you tell me to do. Just I have no thoughts of myself. I have no feelings of myself. No, Hashem gave you thoughts and feelings. Where are they? They have to also be involved in the mission. I saw a letter that Rebbe to a couple that was sent on a shlichus somewhere, and the Rebbe tells them that they have to be totally devoted to their mission. The Rebbe said you have to put your heart and mind of your godly soul and your animal soul. Both have to be immersed in the mission, not just your godly soul, but your animal soul too. You have to also be excited about what you're doing. There's a mitzvah. The Torah says, love Hashem with all your hearts. Hearts means your godly soul and your animal soul. We're supposed to, there's one in the previous mimer that we're learning, let us make from a small room. In that mimer, we discussed how Hashem wants us specifically to advertise and to involve our animal soul as well in our service of Hashem. So while it's true you have to listen to the instructions of the director, you got to breathe yourself. This is the meaning of the words of the Rebbe in his talk. Regarding breathing, the air, you can't rely on the director. There's another opinion in Kabbalah which says a tzaddik gives life with his faith. Other Hasidim interpret this to mean not only does a tzaddik live with his faith, a tzaddik animates others with his faith. And all you need to do is just hang on to a tzaddik, you'll be good. In other Hasidic groups, they say, let the tzaddik breathe for you. Let the tzaddik illuminate you. That's not the way it's supposed to be. Everyone needs themselves to be attached to the spirit of life. Milim Pshut is in simple language. There is a necessity to have a time that's set every day to study Chassidus, and not just to learn in a more peripheral way, but to actually work hard to understand the Chassidus until you feel the effort. You'd feel I'm working on something. Someone has told me a friend of his, unfortunately, was a child. He banged his head, and I don't know what exactly medically he needed to do. But his father took him to the Rebbe. He was from Canada, and they were in New York at the time. So his father took him to the Rebbe and asked for a bracha for his son who had just banged his head. The Rebbe said, "Chassidus should penetrate." The famous chassid of Hillel Parcher was extremely careful in mitzvahs and hiddur mitzvah and chumras. He had a lot of stringencies took upon himself to fulfill mitzvahs. And he said all he's doing is just because he wants that a word of chassidus that he learns should resonate. He wants a chassidus that he learns, he should be sensitive to it. He should feel it. It shouldn't be just something that's distant. Okay, so you have to learn chassidus every single day. In another talk that I mentioned, that even if that day you transgressed a law of the sages, or you transgressed a law of the Torah, a biblical commandment, you might think, okay, today's not a Chassidus day. No, every single day, no matter what has happened, no matter what wrong thing you did that day, the day cannot go by without learning Chassidus. We think Chassidus is something that's holy and special, and I should wait till I'm in a holy, special mood, and then I'll get into it. There it says clearly, even if that day you did something really bad, Chas v'shalom, that's not a reason why you shouldn't learn. Contrary, that's a reason why you should learn. As someone once told the Rebbe that they're not ready, but during the Farbrengen, in the middle of Farbrengen, they was talking about everyone should study Chassidus. Someone told the Rebbe that they're not up to it yet. The Rebbe said it's similar to someone who has fainted, and he's waiting for someone to revive him, and when he's revived, then he will. He doesn't want people to revive him. He says, when I wake up, then take care of me. But he fainted. He needs help. He needs somebody. He fainted. So you can't wait till you till you wake up from fainting. You need people to pull you out of that situation when you fainted. Someone who's fainted, it's not like going to sleep. So on the contrary, if you fainted that day, boy, do you need to hear the Rebbe talking to you. Boy, do you need to hear a voice of this. Okay. And this has to be literally every single day. I just heard that Rebbe told Rabbi Beryl Baumgarten, all of a shalom, that even if it's a busy day, you have to at least spend 5 minutes studying for davening. No not the 5 minutes meditating, that's something else. Even if it's a very busy day, you can't go without 5 minutes learning Chassidus. It's not sufficient to rely on the fact that you're full of Chassidus. So many discourses by heart. Atit Tetzaveh, V'Yishach Yeshua, many other discourses of Chassidus by heart. You're full of Chassidus. And just yesterday, I studied a Maimer and I worked on the Maimer. You have to forge a bond with the spirit of life every single day, literally. There can't be an interruption when it comes to life. Chassidus is compared, as we just learned in Hayom Yom, to life. There are 3 schools of thought within Judaism. There is Musar, Chakir, and Chassidus. Let's give an example of how they work and how Chassidus is unique. Musar is compared to power. Chassidus is compared to life. Chakir is compared to light. I know we just said in this discourse how Chassidus is compared to light, but bear with me for a second. There is, let's say, regarding prayer, how Musar looks at prayer. Musar gives an analogy for prayer. I'm praying to God. God's not answering my prayers. So what does it say in the books of Musar? Imagine someone's knocking on the door and no one's answering the door. And then he realizes, why is nobody knocking on the door? No one's knocking on the door because he's not knocking on the door. He's knocking on the wall of the house. No one can hear him. So in a similar way, it says in the books of Musar, it's possible that you could pray to God, but the reason why God is not answering your prayers is because you have some homework to do first. You have to work on yourself. So it pushes you like it can knock you down too. When I hear that makes me feel like I don't want to daven. Like, who knows if anyone's even listening to me? So it's a force, and it's a powerful force, and it pushes you to do self-examination, but it could knock you down. It certainly doesn't make you feel animated when you pray. Then there is the element of the school of thought of Chakira. Chakira talks about, perhaps in regards to prayer, about the idea of a Jew altering, so to speak, something happening in heaven, and the power of a Jew's prayer, and does God listen to us in a way that he changes his opinion before your prayer and after your prayer, and can God be changed? So it discusses something, a lofty concept. That's why it's compared to light. It puts you in a realm of light. And earlier on in this talk, when we say chassidus compared to light, it's not because it puts you in a realm of interesting and lofty concepts, because it's compared to light, because chassidus compared to light because it shows you where you need to go. But most of all, chassidus is compared to life. Chassidus is compared to something that animates you. In regards to prayer, one thought that Baal Shem Tov said about prayer is that every time you pray, you have to feel that God is kissing your lips, that God cares about you and your prayer, and he's paying attention to you and to you alone. And when you pray to Hashem, he cherishes it so much that he literally kisses your lips, and your words have impact in all the worlds. When you hear that, I mean, it makes you feel like this is something's going on. You think about it. Hashem is kissing your lips. The more you think about it, the more animated you are. Chassidus is animation, it's life itself. So therefore, it has to be done every single day. Look at note 35. Besides the fact that since the Yetzer Hara tries to overpower us every single day, so every day we need to have additional fire coming down from heaven. Just like in the Beis HaMikdash, there was a fire that came down from heaven every single day. So too, every single day we have to bring in the fire from heaven and learn chassidus. We have a new Yetzer Hara. This guy also visited someone who visited LA a little while ago. I'll remember his name in a second. His son works in jets. What's his name? Rabbi Smith. Rabbi Smith told me that his when he was visiting LA, he said that he was in Yechidus, he was in private audience with Rebbe, and Rebbe said to him, "Don't be affected by the Yetzer Hara. If the Yetzer Hara, you don't have to become affected. You don't have to be scared of him. In other words, every day you learn with a chayes, you daven with a chayes. When you learn with the vitality, you daven with vitality, you daven with animation. You learn with animation. So therefore, you get new energy. The Rebbe said, since you get new energy, automatically you don't have to get derailed and affected and excited and scared of the Yetzer Hara. Every day you learn with animation, daven with animation. So that's what the Rebbe says over here. There's a new fire coming down from heaven every day that Hashem gives us through chassidus to counter the Yetzer Hara. You can't rely on the fire of yesterday. As this is with actual life. Let's say a person says, I want to live on Sunday and Tuesday. On Monday, I want to rest from my life. You can't live on Tuesday unless you live on Monday. Remember a Jew over here in LA who was telling me about his challenges in serving Hashem. And he says, I'm just waiting for Rosh Hashanah. Rosh Hashanah, then I'll start again. I told him, dude, if you want something to happen Rosh Hashanah, it's going to have to happen today. It's not going to suddenly turn it back on Rosh Hashanah. To turn it on in Rosh Hashanah, you have to start turning it on now. You can't, as Rabbi says over here, I can't live on Tuesday if I die and stop breathing on Monday. You can't wait for this energy to animate you suddenly and take a break from it. You need to live and breathe every day. But Iker, the main thing you have to remember, the Rebbe says, I am talking about being practical, and I'm talking about you. The translation is, you have to know this means literally, and this means for him literally. In Hebrew, the correct way of saying things is him, but him doesn't mean him, it means me, it means you. You cannot remain the way you were yesterday. Just like today, God gave you your soul anew. Every day Hashem gives us a soul anew. So too you have to connect today anew with the spirit of life. And the kfiyas, belimud, achzidus, You have to renew your bond with your spirit of life by learning and setting a time to learn Chassidus with a new life force, new passion, as if someone never learned Chassidus in their life. Have you ever learned Chassidus for the first time? That's what Rebbe is telling us. You have to learn Chassidus today as if you never learned it before, as if you're coming out of Vilna and you heard there's something called the Alter Rebbe, and he has his great teachings, and you want to go now to Liazhna to hear what is going on, what is everyone so excited about, and you're open yourself up to hear what's the Rebbe telling you. That's how we have to learn Chassidus. The Rebbe says, and by doing this, you will be able to serve Hashem with the proper warmth, the proper light. It comes from what? It comes from realizing that Hashem means me and Hashem means today. There's a pasuk, you should know today and set to your heart that Hashem is God in the heavens above and the earth below. There's nothing besides Him. Chassidim, three Chassidic mentors say this pasuk has three different lessons. The first lesson is you should know today. You know what today means? It should be clear to you like day. When the Torah says know that Hashem is God, it shouldn't just be like something like you think about it, you talk about it. It should be something that's clear to you like day. Number two, it should be today, not tomorrow. That's the second lesson of this pasuk. Number three, most important, v'yadai ta hayoim, you should know, not someone else. So that's what I was saying in this sikha. You can't go a day without chassidus. There's no such thing as okay, I learned Chassidus yesterday, I learned Chassidus the day before. If you want to live tomorrow, you have to live today as well. Okay, I think the rest of the Sikha, I'm going to share with you outside. Till now, we discussed the kol element in Chassidus, how coals are found within the earth, and just like the earth, as we learned earlier on in the Sikha, the earth is something where which is compared to the revealed worlds. The revealed worlds means that it's the worlds, entities, beings, creations, which feel themselves to have an identity. So, as opposed to pearls, which are found in the ocean, coals are found deep within the earth. And the earth represents something which has a identity unto itself. So too, in regarding the impact of Chassidus on ourselves, with the kol element of Chassidus on earth, yes, it's deep within the earth, it uncovers our deeper inner strength, but still, Chassidus, in the analogy of the kol, is about the inner consciousness that we have, our inner strengths that we have, but still it's about our identity. As opposed to the higher worlds, which are compared to ocean. The ocean is a place where the creatures in the ocean aren't seen as a separate entity from the ocean. They're submerged within their source. So too, there is an element of serving Hashem where you feel like I'm serving Hashem. I'm trying to change my nature, perhaps, but it's still me. I'm the guy trying to change my nature. There's an element of Chassidus deals with me as a person and tries to guide me as a person to go beyond my nature. I should serve Hashem with excitement. I should be excited. It's about me. The Rebbe Rashab once said, people think you should learn Chassidus for the sake of learning Chassidus. And he doesn't give great compliments for people who do that. You have to learn Chassidus for yourself. So you're learning Chassidus because you need to find the coals in yourself. You need to find your inner strength. You need to counter the darkness and the frigidity in the world. And you need life and warmth. You need the coals. You need to pay your electric bill. And you need to make sure that you're learning Chassidus today and that the coals and the heater is still on. It's cold outside. Make sure today you learn Chassidus. Then there's another concept of Chassidus. Chassidus is compared to pearls. Pearls are found deep within the ocean. Being in the ocean means that a person loses their identity. It's not about how I am changing as a person. It's about how I am becoming subsumed in the godly reality. How I am losing myself to something higher than myself. How I am completely, like the Rebbe told Rabbi Shapiro, from Florida, you should learn Torah till it's over your head. Or as Rebbe told another person who shared with me, I shared this with you a few years ago, and if you remember, I went to the Kinas HaShluchim 2 years ago, and I met this elderly chassid, beautiful guy, who you could see the shine of chassidus in his face, special man. And he told me that when he was a young boy, no one told people how you're supposed to write to the Rebbe. No one told the younger chassidim how you're supposed to approach the Rebbe. So he thought, okay, I'll tell the Rebbe everything that's going on in my life. And he said in his language, I felt like I'm the only male in Moscow. He felt that all of his different kinds of Yetzer Haras are unique to him. He's the only guy with this kind of Yetzer Hara that he has. And he went to the Rebbe in Yechidus and he asked him for advice. The Rebbe told him, you have to put yourself in Chassidus till Ibn Cup, till it's above your head, which is what we're learning over here. Here, the Rebbe told it to him in regards to in regarding to countering his Yetzer Hara as well. But that's also what we're discussing here about the pearl element of Chassidus. How Chassidus is a pearl that's found in the ocean. It's not only about countering and your Yetzer Hara and gaining energy to fight against what's negative. Chassidus is also about a pearl, about something that's from the future, from the time of the coming Mashiach, where Hashem gives us the ability to adorn ourselves, to present ourselves to Hashem in a loftier way. It's something, when Mashiach will come, it says, the world will become full of the knowledge of God, like water covers the ocean bed. And when you look at the ocean bed, you don't see the ocean bed, you see the water. So to Chassidus allows us to become completely immersed in godliness until we lose ourselves in the process. So it's compare this to learning Gemara, or Gemara or Chumash, or there any part of the revealed parts of Torah, Shulchan Aruch, where godliness isn't even discussed. It's taken as a given. Hashem gave us the Torah. Now let's discuss something else. Hashem is hidden in the revealed parts of Torah. But in the inner dimension of Torah, it's about the Eibishter. It's understanding the Eibishter. It's understanding our relationship with the Eibishter. So the Chassidus gives the ability to submerge ourselves into Hashem's truth and to find the pearls. So I should mention that today is Tes Kislev, and the verse of Mittler is passing. We all know, I'm not going to repeat now, the famous parable of the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe used to defend Mzitcha Maggid from the accusations of Pinchas of Koretz. Pinchas of Koretz told Mzitcha Maggid that he found Chassidus, papers of Chassidus on the floor, and you're revealing too much. The world's not appreciating it. So the Alter Rebbe gave the famous parable of a king who had a son who was on a hunting trip, and the king needed to use his crown jewel to save his son, and the doctor told the king, don't do this because your son is so sick that he may spit out the medicine. The king said, I need to give him the medicine because maybe one drop will go in and that will be enough to save my son's life. So in that analogy, you only need drops. A drop is sufficient. But after the time of the Baal Shem Tov, the Mzitcha Maggid, the Alter Rebbe was arrested for the same reason that Reb Pinchas of Koretz was telling the Maggid to stop teaching. Says it's too much, the world isn't ready. How come the Alter Rebbe was arrested? How come the Mittler Rebbe was arrested? 9th anniversary of the Mittler Rebbe's arrest. If the Alter Rebbe had already brought out that Hashem wants to give us the crown jewel no matter what, and it's worth it, giving away the most precious things of Torah to save the prince's life, how come the Alter Rebbe was arrested? And basically the answer is that there was a time when it was sufficient to only have teachings like the teachings of Baal Shem Tov, just have drops of inspiration. But as we got closer to the coming of Mashiach, on the one hand, where we're getting closer to the light of day, we're also encountering a greater darkness than there was before too. And therefore Hashem revealed more teachings of Chassidus to the extent that the heavenly angels who were accusing the Alter Rebbe of teaching too much Chassidus and therefore caused the Alter Rebbe's imprisonment, came back at the time of the Mittler Rebbe and said the Mittler Rebbe is doing way more than the Alter Rebbe. The Mittler Rebbe is called the Wide River. The Mittler Rebbe, it says about the Mittler Rebbe, as we all know, that if Tzemach Tzedek said about his father-in-law, the Mittler Rebbe, that if you pricked him with a needle, blood would not come out, Chassidus would come out, because he revealed Chassidus in a way that totally engulfed a person completely. That's why it says that the Mittler Rebbe was born and passed away in the same day. His soul and body were one. And the Mittler Rebbe empowers us, as the Rebbe said, to even when we engage in physical, mundane activities, to still feel the Hasidic warmth and life while we're involved in most mundane activities, because Mittler Rebbe gives us bina, an understanding that allows us to scuba dive in the concept of Chassidus that it should become, that we're totally enveloped and immersed in it in a similar way to how things will be when Mashiach will come. Having said all that, that's also, it's something we need for the future. It's not just something that we need. And then it's already late and I gotta let you guys go. The point is, there was a time when it was sufficient to learn Chassidus, like the time of Baal Shem, just a few drops of it. But as we're coming closer to the coming of Mashiach, we need Chassidus for both reasons even more. Number one, the Frierdiker Rebbe didn't place an emphasis on the analogy of the pearls because it was farther from the coming of Mashiach than it is today. And therefore, we need the pearls because in a second Mashiach is going to come. Where are the pearls? How come you're not dressed? And number two, we need teachings of Chassidus even more today because as the darkness of Golus gets greater, there needs to be more and more Chassidus revealed. The Alter revealed some, and he was in prison. Then in the Rebbe's time, they need to have more Chassidus to be revealed because there's greater darkness. So both reasons, because of the greater darkness and because of the approach to the light of Mashiach, there's a revelation of more and more Chassidus that it's critical for us for both reasons, both for coals and for pearls. All right. Any questions, comments, or criticism? All right. Have a great day, Reb Aryeh. A great day, Reb Menachem Mendel, Dr. Bressman. Great day, Reb Beryl. Great day, David. Great day, Michal Mordechai. Great day, Yonatan. Great day, Reb Zev. Yitrot.